Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. This is Joe with the LSA, and I'd like to welcome all of you to our webinar series. Today's webinar is titled How Texting to Landlines is Changing B2C Marketing, and will be brought to you by our guest presenter, Tony from AdsLocal. So with that, let's get started. Over to you, Tony.
You have a business, your business has a landline, and your landline has a number that your customers know. They want to text you that number, and they're probably already trying to, so let them. With AdsLocal, you can send and receive texts from an existing landline and see them all right on your computer. So you keep your number, they keep texting, and you and your customers keep in touch. AdsLocal starts at just $79.95 a month, and right now you can sign up for a 14-day trial free. Visit adslocal.com today.
Thanks, Joe. I'm with Tony Phillip with AdsLocal. We are a three-dimensional mobile web service that incorporates mobile web, text, and call. I don't want this presentation to be an infomercial about AdsLocal, but rather want to use that as an example of how we're using texting to communicate with customers and how partners of ours are using it to increase their retention with customers as well as increase their sales. Specifically, what I'm talking about is the capability to send a text message to a traditional existing landline or 800 number. And if you're signed up with a service like this, or your small, medium-sized business, then you can your customers can text you to your traditional landline number. When they send the text message, it goes up in the cloud where it gets intercepted and sent down to a personal web page, app page, to your phone, and then the recipient will see that the text message coming in. You can then directly from your computer, the business, can reply to it and communicate back to the consumer's cell phone and answer any question that way. So there's a two-way communication going on that way. This is all happening, at least as far as the consumer sees it, via your traditional landline number. No need to use a short code or somebody else's number. So as it turns out, customers want to text you. As a matter of fact, chances are they're already texting you. We have seen over the last couple of years where customers are texting a traditional branded 800 numbers that are not enabled to receive text messages. So we know that the interest is there. They want to be able to text. If you're using a text-to-landline type of service that, like we have at AdsLocal, there's no download required. There's no porting of phone numbers required. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up. And that is really critical for texting to work both for a business as well as for a consumer. It really needs to be transparent, work on all the different platforms, whether it's an iPad, a Mac, a PC, a cell phone, or whatever, so that the marketing message that the business sends out, which quite frankly now turns into text or call 1-800 Joe Plumber. So the question becomes, why is text messaging so important? Well, here are a couple of data points that I'll share with you. In 2012, the volume of text messaging surpassed mobile phone usage 3-to-1. In general, texting has generated significant revenues for the operators and expected to reach $1 trillion in 2018. So clearly, users out there using text messaging a lot. I think everybody on the call is probably familiar with it. And that's why if you're running a mobile campaign, it's critical that you incorporate a texting component. And the other interesting part about text messaging is the speed with which it's delivered. An average text message is sent in under 7 seconds. But the key thing is 90% of text messages are opened within 3 minutes. If you compare that to email, it's in the single digits. So clearly here's a real-time communication method where businesses can communicate with their consumers and be fairly confident that they actually get the message. According to a Ring Central survey, 91% of business consumers prefer to receive text over voicemail. And again, this just it's not a matter of using one over the other, but really as a complement, both voice and texting. And again, another proof on how people access to text messaging is SMS marketing coupons are used 10 times more than mail or newspaper coupons. We have a dentist that uses our service up in New Jersey, and they use it to send out scheduling reminders. And I quote, "Scheduling appointments has never been easier. We simply send text message reminders and set up appointments via text. Our patients prefer that way of communicating." The breadth and reach of cell phones is, I'm sure everybody's familiar with. 81% of cell phone users send or receive text messages. 95% of people who use text regularly already communicate with businesses via text messaging in one way or another. In a recent article in the New York Times stated that 1 in 3 texters would rather text than talk. And I think that's a rather significant statistic, because what it's saying is that there's a demographic out there that may be reluctant to reach out to a business because they'd rather text than talk. By enabling your campaigns, your phone numbers to receive text messages, you're getting access to a whole new demographic that otherwise you would not have seen. And of course, who hasn't done this? 67% of cell owners check their phones and messages, even though there's no alerts or calls on there, because they're anticipating information to come to them. Fundamentally, that means they are waiting for something to show up. They're waiting to hear from you with some type of information that's relevant to their lifestyle. So, how are businesses actually using this? The texting service. Texting has been around for over 10 years with short codes, etc. But there's been a lot of obstacles to that, as beneficial as it is, including that businesses are used to promoting their own 800 number. They've had their landline number promoted for the last 30 years, and they're kind of reluctant to start promoting new numbers. If you text-enabled your landline or 800 numbers, you can now have, and you promote that to your consumers via the web, via print, radio, or TV, they will then be calling into you to find out, what are your opening hours. We have restaurants that allow people to text in their lunch orders. At the same time, if you have a list of consumers, you can text them and let them know that because of inclement weather, the restaurant is closed. Or on a slow night, or as we've seen in the restaurant business, if the restaurant knows that the weather will be bad or raining or a thunderstorm in the evening, they know that they're going to get less consumers in. So here in real time, they can text out to their consumer base and let them know, if you come in tonight, we can offer you a 10, 20% discount. And since 90% of text messages get opened within 3 minutes, that allows them, the consumers, to make plans to maybe come and see you if they initially wasn't able to do that because of the real-time nature of the service. The National Retail Association of Restaurants stated that when they implemented text to landline, they received 80% less voicemails in a 90-day period. Integrating texting to landline with real estate agents has been very popular. It allows them, again, to have a communication with the consumers. When new MLS become available, they can send it out right away rather than get lost in your email spam list. It shows right up there on their phones. Retail in general is very excited about the texting because, again, they're able to leverage their current phone number. They can mark it out there, call or text. They can send them coupons, previews of sales, time-sensitive sales, and ensure that they actually see the message and which can translate into sales and purchases. We've seen a lot of traction with car dealers, and they use this service in multiple ways. Number one, they promote on radio and TV. Call or text us if you want to schedule an appointment to look at cars. At the same time, they can text in and say, hey, do you have a red Toyota 4Runner on the lot? And if they don't, they can then be sent an alert or a reminder, hey, we just got a red Toyota. Why don't you come in and see us this afternoon? At the same time, the dealerships use it as a reminder for their client base if they need an oil change or if the car gets done early, hey, basically let them know it's ready to pick up. Small businesses, for small businesses, this is really an extension of their landline. It's almost like having two lines because while they can be on the one on their phone making outbound phone calls, they can receive text messages through their computer and replying to this. The interesting part is one operator or one admin can handle 10 simultaneous text messaging conversations versus one phone conversations. Bowie Salon in Washington saw that with texting, they had 80% less shows or cancellations because they were able to send out reminders to their consumers when they had already made a reservation. So I know we've got a lot of agencies on this call, so I just wanted to emphasize, some of the benefits of offering texting to landline to customers. Number one is this enables you to increase your marketing reach to a demographic, the text demographic, that previously you may not have been reaching. It serves as a great retention to your businesses because once they've enabled the texting and have used that to communicate with the consumers, they're not going to stop. I challenge anybody on this call to come up with an example, with the exception of my mother, where somebody has used text messaging and then said, text messaging, that's just not for me. I'm not going to do that anymore. That's why we have 3 times more text messaging out there than voicemails. It also allows for increased engagement between the small businesses and customers. Obviously, when now a consumer can text in and say, hey, what are your opening hours? The business can text back with a standard reply. We're open between 6 and 9. What are you looking for? That conversation starts then and then translates into the traditional phone call or actual somebody coming to your store. And of course, when you've text enabled a campaign, a click-to-call campaign or a mobile web campaign, you will see, or your businesses are going to see, increase in text messages to their business. And since it's a new service to them, they're going to see that as an increased value that the agency is bringing to them. And again, I think over time you'll see that the text messaging will then be able to be correlated with calls and various other marketing material. So just kind of here to summarize why text to 800 numbers or landline numbers. Number one is reduce care costs. So a business can handle 10 simultaneous text message conversations versus one phone call. Greater customer satisfaction. Surveys have shown 92% consumers prefer to text to voice calls. There's no app required. This is not a new technology. People have been texting for over 20 years. And it works on all phones, or 98% of phones worldwide. You can respond when it's convenient. So when you receive a text message, if the office is closed, you can have an autoresponder going back to the consumer. The next day, the business can either call or text the person back. And if they're in the office, they may be able to return a text message rather than returning a phone call. And again, customers can text in lots of conversations or lots of questions that you really wouldn't want to dedicate an operator to, like directions to your office or business or opening hours, etc. And the key thing is, and really important here, is the fact that you can use your current local number or toll-free number in order to protect your brand equity. So there's no need to use somebody else's 800 number, a different landline number. The key part about this new way of texting and communicating B2C is that it's going to the current number. And of course, it's important that when you have a service like this, that you're able to show reports to the business to show how many people have been texting in. Although chances are, what you'll see is when you go and talk to your client, about the texting part, is they'll come to you and share with you how many people have been texting with them.
You have a business. Your business has a landline. Your landline has a number that your customers know. They want to text you at that number. With AdsLocal, you can send and receive text from a landline and see them all on your computer. To get started, simply log in with your existing business telephone number. No need to establish any new phone services. New text messages are easily and quickly created. Just enter a number or use an existing contact. Text can be sent to multiple contacts at one time. Custom groups can be created for quick mass messages. Messages can contain up to 160 characters. You can also add hyperlinks. Want to send a text out at a specific time? There's a timer for that. Easily schedule a time for your text, click send, and forget about it. Well, this is interesting. 90% of text messages are read within 3 minutes of being delivered. You don't say. Mobile coupons receive 10 times higher redemption rates than print coupons. Here's an interesting one. 67% of cell owners find themselves checking their phone for messages, alerts, or calls, even when they don't notice their phone ringing or vibrating. This means they're just waiting for something to show up. Here's your chance. With AdsLocal, you can reach customers in a deeper way than ever before. Call us at 707-877-6270 for more details. The time is now, and your customers are waiting to hear from you. Reach out today. AdsLocal specializes in a very unique way for you to directly reach and engage your customers without having to place phone calls, send emails, or snail mail. We want to help. Give us a call at 707-877-6270. Thanks for watching.
So to kind of summarize it, as I said earlier, AdsLocal does three-dimensional mobile advertising. A core part of what we do is texting and enabling it to go to current business numbers and combining that with mobile display advertising, enhanced listings, and click to call. Once you have a new service like this, where for the last 10 years when we've been doing mobile advertising, we talk about call us. Now you can say text or call, and that's not just on the web. We're seeing people promote that on radio ads, on TV ads, etc. Now you have a new way of extending your reach from the consumer or from the business to the consumer, and what this does is deliver and increase engagement with new and current customers. So with that said, I know this is a little bit of a different approach to texting than you may have seen in the past. Open to some questions. If you want to set up a one-on-one demo to hear more about this, just give us a call, 707-877-6270. My name's Tony Phillip, and I welcome any questions.
For this solution, do landlines have to be provisioned via VoIP?
No, they do not. This is a service that applies to fundamentally all 800 numbers and most landline numbers, traditional landline numbers.
How much would a business pay for this? Like the restaurant, what's the best pricing model? Flat rate or usage?
We've started off with a very simple model that is flat rate, and it retails for $100 a month, unlimited text messaging.
What are the automated response capabilities of the system?
So so everybody who signs up for this service gets, per phone number, gets their own web page that will actually show the text message coming in right there from the web page. You can reply back, and the cool thing is the end user sees the text message they get back coming from that landline or 800 number. So if nobody is there, then there's a feature on that web page that you can pre-populate an auto response that basically says, sorry, our office is currently closed, but we'll be happy to call you back in the morning. And part of the feature of the auto response is you can automate it, so you can say you want this auto response to be on, from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, and all day Saturday and Sunday. Or if your restaurant is closed because of inclement weather, not that anybody's had that problem this winter, the response will be, sorry to tell you that, but our restaurant is closed today.
If I was interested in just being able to send appointment reminders to customers or directions, would this work?
Absolutely. As long as you're, because this is a one-on-one technology, it gets treated like a call. So as long as you have a relationship with your customer, whether you call them to give them directions or send them directions via an SMS, it's the same thing. As a matter of fact, it's probably, if you think about it, if a customer called in and said, hey, how do I get to your business? How many times are they going to say, could you just text me the directions? Here's a way to do that proactively.
So, for instance, if you're away, can you tie this into a real cell phone?
Yes. That's actually one of the applications that we've seen for this is where an admin goes to lunch. They can still get text messages on their cell phone when they're at lunch. All they have to do is download an app to their cell phone, and it will basically give you the same type of screen interface you would have on a PC. So if you're not at your desk, you can still see the text messages coming in. You can still reply to it from your phone.
How many people at the business can receive the text messages simultaneously? Just one? Can multiple people receive and one respond?
So because the way the page is set up, you have a unique page, a unique account per phone number. Anybody in the business can see that as long as they have the login information. And then if one person responds to that, they can mark on the text message in the notes section, Joe responded to this text message already, so that you don't have multiple people responding to the same text message.
In your opinion, what are some of the best digital marketing products to bundle with this?
I believe that any click-to-call campaign should be combined with this because it enhances the calls by allowing for people to do the initial texting, qualify the call before they actually make the call. Businesses really like this because I don't know if you're familiar with the term fat thumbs, but a lot of mobile campaigns have fat thumb calls going to businesses because they accidentally hit a banner or click the call button. And in this case, if they're texting, you can weed all of that out. But just again to emphasize, what we're seeing is this being used across all media. No different than somebody currently promoting their 800 number in print, TV, radio, web, where they say, give us a call at 1-800 AdsLocal. They're now saying, call or text. Let the consumer choose.
Is there an app that I can access on my mobile to respond to these texts?
Yes, there is. You can download an app that'll allow you to do that. So fundamentally, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, I think the key thing and part of the challenge in the past with text campaigns is that it's a cross-platform play, so that you can receive text messages now on your PC, at your desktop, on an iPad or an iPod, as well as on your cell phone. And when you're replying, it's not coming from a different email address or a different text a different mobile phone number, but it's coming from the same number. That's the way the consumer sees it, a unified front.
So there's a question about AdsLocal's website. Would you like to give out that information to the audience?
Sure. If you go to www.adslocal.com, we actually have a couple of videos on there that show how the service gets used. There's a tutorial, it's about a 3-minute tutorial that shows what it looks like. And again, if anybody wants to do an online demo, be happy to facilitate that. Just give us a call or send an email to Tony at adslocal.com.
So where exactly does the text message display with your solution?
Good question. It actually shows up on a web page. So 2 things will happen on your computer. If your computer is logged in, you'll have a web page, and your login information is the 800 number, the landline number, plus your personal password, and it'll show up on that web page. In addition, you can download, but you're not always going to be sitting in front of your computer looking at the AdsLocal or the TextLocal page, right? You got other stuff to do. So you can download an app to your Mac or PC computer as well as to iPads, whatever. So every time a text message comes in, an alert goes off in the background. That alert basically says, hey, you just got a text message. You can either respond to that text message directly from the app, again, PC, mobile phone, or iPad, or you can just click on your browser, go to the page, your personalized 800 number page, and respond from there.
So there's been a few questions about cost. What does this solution cost?
Our model right now is it retails for $100, unlimited text messaging per number. And we have a special going on right now which offers a 20% discount at $80 a month.
Is there a setup fee as well for the web page?
No setup fee.
Do recipients need to opt out in order for us to send them text messages? And can you send out text messages to general business without opting in?
So those are good questions. And the fundamental here, the can spam rules still apply just like to any other medium. If you can call a business, you can send them a text message. But and even more so, if you're promoting this to your consumers to text you, if they text you first, then they've already opted in to be responded by you via text messages. What you cannot do, no differently than email spam or text spam, is send out 1,000 messages to your consumer base who have not opted in. It's not a matter, the service can do it, it's just that you may not be permitted to, and that has nothing to do with the service. That's more about your relationship with the client.
Okay, so does this system tie into your POS so you don't need to re-enter them twice?
Yeah, no. We can provide APIs where a customer can tie it in, but we do not have a solution for that.
Do you think that consumers who prefer to text would be worried that as soon as they send a text, the business will now have their number and be able to call them back?
I think that may be the case, and I think the business needs to have their own operating procedures in place. What we found is if somebody texts us, we text back. And what ends up happening is that there ends up being a multi-text message conversation. And then you basically, the business then texts back and says, would you like to call us, or would you like us to call you?
When text messages are received, is there an alert system, or do you have to monitor the page pretty much all the time?
I love that question. There is an alert system. There's an app that you can download to PC, iPad, or your cell phone. When a text message comes in to your enabled number, it pops up, it lets you know, and then you can reply directly from either the app, or you can go at that point to your web page.
What's the level of effort and engagement required to get an SMB up to speed, and how much ongoing support is needed?
The level of effort is pretty straightforward in the sense that the number gets enabled within 5 minutes. And because most people are already familiar with text messaging, it really just a matter of showing them what the page looks like, the web page, and downloading an app, and then the opportunity is really, as with any other interactive marketing tool, is to get the message out that this exists. And there's a couple different ways to do that. Through the agency, even your yellow page ad, print ad will now say text or call, and so that'll drive text messages as people come into the store, sign up for services. you can send them reminders about, their upcoming appointment, etc.
If we're an agency, can we white label this?
It is possible.
Just reading through. Does this work for Android and iPhone?
Yes, it does.
Is there a place that can tie into the website for people to enter a number for text updates?
Okay, if I understand the question correctly, is there a place on the website where people can sign up for text updates? I think that would have less to do with the actual web page that we're hosting, but you could submit that from the business's homepage.
Okay. Does the product require a long-term commitment?
Yes, 30 days.
How do you work with publishers, and do you offer wholesale agreements?
We love working with publishers, and we do offer wholesale agreements.
Okay. Can you respond to text from an iPad at the counter, or do you need to be in front of a computer to respond?
Great question, and definitely something we've worked on over the last couple of years. You can respond from an iPad. You do not have to be in front of your computer. Again, one of the great applications that we've seen is where the admin or operator that takes the calls in the office goes to lunch, takes his or her cell phone with them, and they can still see text messages coming into the business landline right there and respond to it.
Do you work with wholesalers and resellers?
We do. As a matter of fact, we have all kinds of very attractive programs to work with wholesalers and retailers in order to customize the product and help them be more successful, not only in gaining new customers, but we see a big value of this as a retention program to help, obviously, keep the loyalty of your customers.
In your experience, what is a user's expectation for how long it takes to get a response back from the business?
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. Text messaging in general is an asynchronous communications, which means you can send a message and it'd be acceptable to get something back right away or minutes later. But then again, look at what you're comparing it to. To a voice call, somebody going into voicemail. How many times have you left a message at an auto dealer, auto insurance, and you never got a call back? Here at least, you're either getting an autoresponder text back, or you're getting something back within a couple of minutes or the following day. The challenge is, and what this service kind of overcomes, is, again, you leave a message with the business at the end of their close. So you leave a voicemail. You called them from home. They call you back the next day and you're in the office. Well, you really are not, open to talking right then, but you can take a text message and reply.
Do you guys store the phone numbers, or is that on us? Do you store them on a server where when I log in, all my numbers pop up?
Your numbers show up on your web page.
And then how much storage do I get? I.e., how many numbers?
On the page itself, you can have up to 1,000 contact numbers pre-populated, but that doesn't mean you can't send to or interact with more than that.
Okay, a lot of great questions here. We'll go ahead and wrap up. Tony, do you have any last thoughts?
Well, I appreciate everybody's time of being on the call. I think what we have here, I've been involved in the pay-per-call industry since it got started back in 2004 on mobile phones. I think this is one of the more exciting new ways of communicating with customers. Well, a new way to leverage an old communication, i.e. text messaging. It's the simple use. It's the simple way of using it that really makes it so so interesting. And if anybody has any questions about how to use it, in particular in something that they're working on, be happy to entertain those conversations at a later date.
Thanks, Tony, and thanks to everyone for attending today. If you have any questions or would like to be connected with today's speaker, please email us at webinars@localsearchassociation.org. Also, one quick reminder, the 2015 LSA conference in LA, April 20th to the 22nd, is right around the corner. Our agenda is almost complete, and we're looking forward to hearing from Google, Estimo, Moz, Xad, GoDaddy, ReachLocal, Vendasta, Placed, Factual, Yelp, and a whole bunch more. So for more info on that, visit localsearchassociation.org. So with that, thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.